अखिल विजेत्रे.
Thank you, Yagapriya. Welcome is to show honor. Now, I would like to call upon our respected HOD, Ms. Shamina, to give the welcome address. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kavirsi. So, good morning to one and all present here. With immense joy and pleasure, we, the Department of Biochemistry from Rathnavil Subramaniam College of Arts and Science, welcome you all for the DPT scheme sponsored 7 days national level virtual FDP on prospects and retrospects in life science, starting from today, 15 to 2021 to 22 to 2021. On behalf of the department, I welcome our respected principal, Dr. T. Shivakumar, our beloved vice principal, Dr. M.P. Ayapadas, and DPT Star College coordinator, Dr. Dhanabalan, for the session. I also welcome our chairperson of the session, Dr. Shailesh Kumar, scientist, DPT National Institute of Plant Genome and Research, New Delhi, for his talk on identification of novel RNAs in plants, a big data approach. We welcome you, sir. I also welcome all the faculty members from the Department of Biochemistry and all the faculty members from RVS institutions and also the faculties from different other universities and institutions. I hope this FDP program will enhance our knowledge on different aspects of research and techniques in life science. Stay connected with us for the next 7 days. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Happy welcome Ms. Lalita, Assistant Professor, Department of Biochemistry, to give a special introduction about our chief guest. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kavirsi, ma'am. On behalf of management, dignitaries, Department of Biochemistry, it's my great honor for me to introduce and welcome our chief guest, Dr. Shailesh Kumar, scientist, DBT, National Institute of Plant Genomic Research, New Delhi, for this national level virtual FTP program sponsored by DBT Star Scheme, New Delhi. Dr. Shailesh Kumar is a scientist and his research area in bioinformatics, genomics, and artificial intelligence. Highlighting his professional, he has completed UG Biotechnology from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, PG Life Science from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, his doctorate in bioinformatics from Institute of Microbial Technology, Chandigarh, postdoc from Virginia University, USA, presently working as a scientist at National Institute of Plant Genomic Research, New Delhi. Apart from this, he proves to be a dynamic person by visiting scientist Guangzhou Medical University, China. He was selected for Sakura Exchange Program in Science for Indian Young Officers, Japan. Dr. Shailesh Kumar areas mainly focused on identification and characterization of novel molecules in plants, development of web servers, databases, and computational pipelines for plant research. He is an associate editor, board member, reviewer in BMC Journal and journals in theoretical biology and medical modeling. Besides this, he has published more than 40 research articles in national and international journals. More than 10 book chapters were also published. He has developed more than 15 web resources, databases, and tools. Such an eminent personality is here to deliver a knowledge to us. Once again, I welcome you, sir, on behalf of all.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. And now I want to start my presentation without any delay. So let me check the PPT. Is it visible, my presentation?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, great. So let me start this presentation. So as the Madam said that I am a scientist at National Institute of Plant Genome Research. I have my own research laboratory with the PhD students and other researchers. So basically today I'll be discussing about this identification of novel genes and RNAs, a big data approach. I modified my lecture a little bit. So, but the main theme is like the identification of novel genes and RNAs. So about this presentation, today I will be discussing about the next generation sequencing, whole genome assembly and annotation with the next generation sequencing data sets for microbes, data type and analysis pipeline, Burkholderia. I will take one example, Burkholderia SJ98 and fungal genome, and then integration of next generation sequencing tools to databases, and then next generation sequencing NGS datasets for human in databases, gene fusion detection in cancer and normal tissues, and data mining and database development for plants. So as you know that these are the next generation sequencing platforms. These are like Illumina, ABI Solid, Roche 454, Ion Torrent, Heliscope, PacBio, Nanopore. So then the PacBio and the Nanopore power, these are like two latest sequencing platforms. So all these sequencing platforms we called next generation sequencing. Okay, these sequencing machines always used for whole genome sequencing, transcriptome sequencing, exome sequencing, and ChIP-seq and RNA-seq and small RNA sequencing. Different type of sequencing we can do. Okay, and why people are using these technologies because of their low cost and less time as compared to the Sanger sequencing. Okay, Sanger is, as we all know, that Sanger sequencing is a traditional sequencing, but with the emergence of these technologies, people are using these uh, machines because of low cost and less time. So sequencing platforms produce high throughput data in short reads, basically in form of short read. Okay, I'll be showing you the what are the short reads and what type of data these sequencing platforms produce. So this is a graph of the short read archive available at NCBI SRA. Okay, of USA, Short Read Archive of USA. If you Google the NCBI SRA, then you will find this the platform NCBI SRA what it is. So at x-axis, basically this is the years, and y-axis the size in terabytes. So terabyte, 1 terabyte means 1000 GB. Okay, and then so in 2009, 2010, so in 2009, it was like 1 or 2 terabyte data was there at NCBI SRA, and in 2019, 2020, it is like more than 10,000 of terabytes data deposited at NCBI SRA. It means people are sequencing a lot basically. In these 10 years, people sequenced a lot. Okay, and what they are doing, they are sequencing like somebody is sequencing the plant RNA, somebody RNA sequencing, somebody is doing human RNA sequencing, exome means the coding part of genome, exome sequencing. Okay, so and as compared to data deposition and data generation, the analysis of these type of data sets is very low. Okay, so then the our role, basically the role of a scientist come into the picture. So let me discuss how like we are dealing with these data sets and fetching out the useful information. Sorry. So the first one is the whole genome assembly and annotation with NGS datasets for microbes. So this is the pipeline for microbial genome assembly and annotation, like quality check. The first, when the sequencer produce the reads, basically, then we have to trim the low quality read. Remove the low quality bases, low quality reads, and trim or remove the reads containing N. N means N-nucleotide. And then in the second part, we have to assemble the filtered reads. If we have reference genome, reference means the like suppose for MTB, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, we already have RV strain as a standard, and if we sequence a new strain of that MTB, Then this is the reference based, I can say, because reference is already available. But suppose if we sequence the new, very new strain, then we can organism, I can say, very new organism, then it is like de novo genome assembly. So we have to assemble these short reads, okay, and this is called genome assembly. And then genome finishing, third one, aligning contigs and scaffolds to related species, assembled genome visualization, gap filling by Sanger sequencing, and then finally annotation. Basically we have to annotate the assembled genome, okay. So that is the annotation. And annotation by existing pipelines, we have automated pipelines available for annotation, and genome annotation by different specific tools with existing data, manual annotation for a particular class of genome, okay. This is the pipeline basically. Like suppose you have a microbe and then you sequence these microbe by Illumina or 454 read. So this will produce the reads basically. You can see the right hand side uppermost, the green reads basically green color. Then we have genome assemblers basically, Velvet, Soap de Novo. And then we have to assemble these short reads into the contigs, like you can see the contigs. And then scaffolds, as I said, genome finishing. So scaffolds means the joining of contigs. Contigs means contiguous sequences, nucleotide sequences, big sequences, large sequences. So then the joining of these contigs into the scaffolds, like putting n means any nucleotide, and then scaffolds. When we get the scaffolds, then we have to annotate the genome with the help of different servers and pipelines. So that is genome annotation. So I will be giving you one example of Burkholderia. Basically, Burkholderia during my PhD. So that the experimental scientist said this Burkholderia is responsible to degrade the nitroaromatic compound in the soil. So Shailesh, why don't you assemble and we sequence these genomes? Why don't you assemble, annotate this genome? I said, okay, I can do that. So, like the sequence means the experimental scientists sequence this Berkeley genome with Roche 454 technology and produce the read basically. So I use the genome assembler nubular and then the contigs generated 79 contigs and then again join those contigs into 17 scaffolds. Ultimately, Burkholderia have one chromosome, like ideally, but this sorry, any bacteria have one chromosome actually, but this Burkholderia have three chromosomes basically. So ideally, we should get the three contiguous sequences, but due to these gaps, so we found that we have 17 scaffolds. It means our mm, three chromosomes breaking into 17 scaffolds. Means further we cannot assemble with this NG data set. We have to fill these gaps, okay, with Sanger sequencing. And then I annotated this genome with Rast, PGAP, and Cas server. So this is the data, like 17 scaffolds, and we further sequence this Illumina, this genome by Illumina sequencing, and then you can see gap filling and by Illumina sequencing, and these our 17 scaffolds had 58 more than 58,000 ends, and then Illumina sequencing, then 17 scaffolds with 800 ends. We further Illumina sequencing itself, we generated the contigs with the help of SOAP de novo here, and then the blast, and then we ultimately we end up with 14 scaffolds with 0 ends, and then we annotate. So it means we, with these efforts, uh, sorry, with those efforts basically, we end up with 14 scaffolds. And you can see the publications basically, the genome sequencing of nitroaromatic compound degrading bacteria, Burkholderia. So, Journal of Bacteriology, we published a genome draft. Then further, the scientist said that this Burkholderia, can you check that this Burkholderia can um, do the chemotaxis? Do this Burkholderia have chemotaxis gene? So I further annotate this genome I search for chemotaxis gene clusters. So basically, I found the novel genes that are responsible for chemotaxis in this Burkholderia, and then annotate those genes and publish this paper basically. And then in the third one, we experimentally validate the paranitrophenol degrading genes in this Burkholderia. So that's the pipeline actually, how, like, with the help of sequencing, how you can produce the like the useful, meaningful research actually. Okay. So in the same line of research, I like assemble and annotate 12 other bacterial genomes, and all are published. So not only bacterial, but I assemble and annotate the fungal genome like Daptomyces hansenii. So our wet lab scientist said that this is oil. Sorry, this is the salt tolerant yeast. So we assemble, we sequence this genome by Illumina sequencing, and then short read was filtered by FastText toolkit, and filtered short reads were assembled by Evaluate, and then further contigs was annotated by Maker pipeline. And then we found these genes, novel genes, and the pathways. And this is another bacteria, fungal genome, Rhodosporidium torloides, MPCC 457. So Dr. Anand Bachawat at the time, they said that this is the oil producing yeast. Okay, so we have the transcriptome data, we have the genome data. So why don't you annotate several the oil producing yeast, several genes that are responsible in the pathway of oil production. So what I did, we sequenced the genome, I filtered the reads, and then assemble, and then further annotate with the Maker pipeline. Okay. And then I also identify the genes which are lie on the pathway of the oil production in this yeast. Okay, and then we produce these papers. Basically, you can see the first author papers, two papers in the eukaryote cell. So so I want to show the effort. The how, with the help of these data sets, NGS data sets, we can find out the novel genes and novel gene clusters for the identification of novel genes with these NGS data sets. Give me a second. And then I made a web-based website for this Burkholderia. And the same thing I did with these the microbial genomes that I assemble and annotate. And for the audience, basically for the students, I developed this pipeline, so at this website, you can go and check the pipeline, for the genome assembly and annotation. This is Genotrip pipeline. Although it is not published, but you can check this, you can download this, install this, and then you can use this. And then further integration of next generation sequencing tools to the databases. So at that time, actually, when I was doing these research, my another colleague was developing the cancer drug resistant database. So I put these here. So this one, this database have the genes, the wild type genes, mutation or in those genes cause the cancer. So I put these modules, basically map alignment modules, in this platform. If somebody sees a cancer genome or transcriptome, that can be aligned basically to those reference genes. Basically, these are wild type genes, and we can find out the mutation in our newly sequenced genome or transcriptome or gene. Okay. This database have these options. You can put the short reads, and then the alignment will give you the, suppose cancer target genes here, and then align reads. So these are my newly sequenced, the cancer genome sequencing reads. And then suppose on this particular gene, you can see in the newly sequenced cancer genome, we have this variation, we have this mutation as compared to our wild type gene. Okay, so that's the advantage of this tool I put at cancer database, you know. So not only this alignment, but the contig alignment, you know, contig means contiguous sequences, yes, like FASTA sequences, okay, nucleotide sequences. So this module can also predict the genes basically in that contigs and then further align to the wild type cancer gene. So in the same thing, you can do BLAST also. So this is the published cancer database. So you can see my name here. And the same thing I did with the pancreatic cancer methylation dataset, you know, database. So you can explore these like PCMDV or Cancer DR and what is going on there. So you can, and we have publication and another publication here. So now genomics data for human basically. I said, the application of next-generation sequencing for human, the whole genome sequencing, RNA sequencing, exome sequencing. Exome means coding part of the genome. Small RNA sequencing, degradome sequencing, ChIP-seq, high-C data. You know, so different applications. So exomes for exome sequencing, I made this pipeline like if you have fast queue reads, and then you have to filter those reads and then align to the human genome, and then alignment, the SAM file you will get, the BAM file, and then VCF calling variation, and then mutation calling. So after mutation calling, you can correlate those mutation with the disease prediction or drug target relationship. So these are the like application, how with the help of NGS data you can see the drug target relationship and disease prediction. You can predict the disease also, you know, the personalized medicine thing. So that's the like advantage of these sequencing technologies. And like suppose whole genome sequencing, uh, like thousand genome sequencing data set I took, and then I annotate the variants basically. Annotate the variants means I found the variation in the thousand genome as compared to the normal genome, and then annotate whether these variations are disease causing or not. These are some publications related to that. Like in the second one, you can see a platform for designing genome-based personalized immunotherapy or vaccine against cancer. So these are like I was talking that personalized things, you know, personalized genomics things. And then identifying the fusion transcript using next generation sequencing. The fusions, what are the fusions basically? Uh, Fusion of two transcripts that may be coding or non-coding. Okay, traditionally detected in various tumors and stabilized as biomarkers. Okay, so these are for example, BCR, ABL, chronic myelogenous leukemia, TMPRAS, ERG, prostate cancer, EML4, ALK, lung cancer. So these are like different fusion transcripts, different type of cancers. So not only these, but there are several fusion transcript, you know, different fusion transcripts in different type of cancer. So they are like well stabilized biomarker. Biomarker in the sense, what I mean to say, if we found these fusion of these genes in the uh, particular sample, we can say that this cancer is happening in the patient. Okay, but the fusion transcripts also have been found in no neoplastic tissues. But in our lab, from where I was doing my postdoc, they found that fusion transcripts also have been found in normal tissues. And somebody like in 2013, they also discovered fusions in the mouse and fly. So what is this fusion? Let me discuss. Fusion transcripts formed at a DNA level and RNA level as well. So at DNA level, you can see the translocation, insertion, inversion, and the deletion. And at RNA level, so you can see at the DNA level, like translocation, like these have two genes A, B, and then translocation happening, and then you can see the fusion of genes. And insertion. Insertion means A part of B uh, joining with part of A. Then this is the gene fusion. Inversion. Inversion means flipping, you know, A B like that. Deletion means deletion means a part of chromosome deleted. That is unbalanced rearrangement. Actually, that part is lost. So in the insertion, part is deleting from one chromosome and going to another. But here deletion, that completely lost, and then generate the AB fusion. And at RNA level, basically, trans-splicing, the two pre-mRNA from different transcripts joining together. Cis-splicing means neighboring fusion transcript joining to form fusion transcript. So we have like different fusion transcript detection tools, and then some tools available for RNA-seq read, some tools available for a whole genome sequencing read and RNA-seq data. Some consider single and read and other required paired and read. Latest tools are also accepting read produced by third generation sequencers like PacBio. So our questions like which tool produces maximum true fusion, which overlap between the result of different tools, which tool is taking less time and less RAM, computational RAM. Is there any detection in the data that does not have fusion? If yes, then which tool produces minimum false fusion? Factors alter the false fusion detection. Any previous attempt for this? Actually, in 2013, somebody compared the 6 tools. So, myself actually, I took these positive and negative data, mixed data, and test data, and let me discuss. Positive data means the data in which we already know that this data have 50 fusion. Okay, that is the positive data. So that we can check the tool that okay, I run this tool A that is giving me 40 fusion out of 50, and I run this tool B that is giving 30 fusion out of 50. So that is positive data. Negative data means that data does not have any uh, fusion. We already know. So simulated reads, actually artificially created reads. Like with the help of programming, we created these reads, negative reads. And then mixed data. Mix means we mix these positive and negative reads of 75 nucleotide length. And test data means real data. Okay. So and then we compare we compare these tools, with these data sets and develop this paper, basically comprehensive assessment of method for the fusion transcript detection from RNA-seq data. Okay, and at the same time, another the publication came in nucleic acid research, comprehensive evaluation of fusion transcript detection algorithms and a metacaller to combine top performing methods in paired and RNA-seq data. So actually, I read that paper and found that there is some discrepancy in this paper, basically, that the negative data they took was like the data of normal human being, actually, because they were considering that the normal human being does not have fusions. But as I said previously, that in our laboratory where I was doing my postdoc, that we were detecting the fusions in normal human being also. So I discussed these points and then wrote a review, basically, identifying fusion transcripts using next generation sequencing. So I wrote a review here: identification of fusion genes, importance, fusion finders mechanism, comparison, future, benchmarking studies, pros and cons, importance, future direction, tool development, data type, further comparisons. Okay, so I developed this review article, and then editor give us the privilege to develop this to make the cover image. So I made this cover image. Actually, this is nothing but just Sarko's plot of these are like neighboring gene fusion, like the single line that is the neighboring gene fusion. So A and B are neighbors, so that they are not forming any loop, straight lines. And then the right hand side one, upper one, is the transfusions. Transfusions means the fusion from different chromosomes, fusion of genes from different chromosomes. And the bottom one was the mixing of these data. So I was like able to develop this cover image. So after that, I took this data from this paper. Basically, uh, they generated the 27 human tissue RNA-seq data and then calculated the gene expression. I calculated the fusion transcript in that data and then make some these like findings. There is no distribution of fusion RNAs in the different tissues and different fusion in one tissue, fusion in more than 5 tissue, fusion in tissue, the 4 tissues. So this kind of stats, intrachromosome, interchromosomal, so and this type of Sharkos diagram. And then they calculated that in that paper, they calculated the gene expression. So I found the fusion. So I compared the expression-based clustering of tissues as compared to the fusion-based clustering. So I propose that the fusion-based clustering is more stable than expression-based clustering because this fusion is a like complex phenomena, so it will take some time to happening, like fusion of two genes. It took so many years to develop fusion transcript in a particular type of cancer or a normal human being, but your gene expression changes within like seconds. Actually, if you run quickly, then within seconds your some of your gene up regulate, some of your gene down regulate, so that's a fusion. The fusion based clustering is more reliable and stable as compared to expression based clustering. I said in the paper basically that is published in Nucleic Acid Research, recurrent chimeric fusion RNA in known cancer tissues and cells. So, and not only this, I compared these fusion occurrence of fusion with the phenotypic data like age, uh, race, gender, and a different type of properties. Like in genes, we published absence of correlation between chimeric RNA and aging. And then I had personally handled more than 10,000 of RNA-seq samples. RNA-seq means RNA sequencing samples from this GTEx portal and analyzed the samples, RNA-seq samples for the fusion transcripts. And then published in the Nucleic Acid Research, again, landscape of chimeric RNA in known disease tissue and cells. And then in several cancers, I identified the fusion transcripts and contributed in the research articles like alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma and the cervical cancer. So fusion transcript in plants basically. Now these are like novel molecules actually. With the help of RNA-seq data, we are finding these novel molecules. So in plants also, I started at NIPGR. Why we will study the fusion transcript in plant? To understand the mechanism of fusion formation in plants, evolutionary genomics in plants, why these two fusing in a particular tissue in a particular plant. Okay, role of species and stage specific fusion in plant, role of fusion gene in synthesis of secondary metabolites, plant immunity and non-coding. So actually the fusion transcript may be coding or maybe non-coding, means they may code a protein or they may act as a long non-coding RNA. So we have to identify, we have to check. Give me 1 second. Okay. So fusion transcript, we started with Arabidopsis basically. We took the paired and RNA-seq data from NCBI, convert that SRA data into the FASTQ format. We have used ARIScript basically, and then on the basis of probability ARIC score, we have find the fusions. And then also additional information were added by bioconductor package and then produce the fusion transcript data. So this is the AT fusion DB basically. Arabidopsis thaliana plant fusion transcript database. So you can Google it and you can find out what is going on there. So this is the paper of the AT Fusion DB we published. And then this is a identification characterization of small RNAs now. So you can see the major endogenous regulatory non-coding RNA plants. Okay, so that was a story of fusion transcript that may be coding or non-coding. So that was another molecule, and now the novel RNAs, basically non-coding RNAs. Now specifically, like plant regulatory non-coding RNAs, like regulatory non-coding RNA based on size distribution, plant non-coding RNA can be grouped into three major classes: non-coding RNAs, sRNAs, long non-coding RNAs, circular RNAs. You can see in the picture, and this picture is available in the review article. Basically, we recently wrote. I will show you the review article. And non-coding RNAs are also can be categorized uh, these according to size, basically. So these are the pictures from the review article I took that we recently wrote with Vivek. So you can, I will send you the link in the chat of that particular review article, so you can understand properly what is. You must read and just enjoy that article. It's a wonderful article showing the showing the non-coding part of the plant RNAs. The sRNA reads are aligned to genome in order to screen the microRNA hairpin precursor. I'm not going into the technical details, but just I'm showing you the annotation simply to simplify this annotation of tsRNA. tsRNA means tRNA derived small RNAs using small RNA sequencing. And then overview of long non-coding RNA annotation with RNA-seq data. So, and then annotation strategies for circular RNAs and the transfer RNA derived fragments. So specifically, we focused on these tRNA fragments in our research. So let me give you the that link of my book chapter in the chat. Sorry, the review article. That's a wonderful review article wrote by one of our student. Give me a second. And this one will be very useful, I personally feel, for you people. So those pictures I took from that review article only. So I am not going into the details of that particular topic, because it will be like the time consuming. All right. Did you get that link in the chat? Hello? Did you get the link in the chat?
Sir, your voice was little breaking.
Okay. Did you get the link in the chat?
Yeah, there is the link, sir.
Okay, great. So my PPT are visible now?
Yeah, sir, visible.
Okay. So you just go into the identification of novel RNAs we discussed in the review article. That is a wonderful article by A.T. Vivek. So transfer RNA derived fragments, we also like working on these molecules, and these are like 15 to 28 nucleotide length tRNA fragments. They are not byproduct of tRNA degradation. All tRNAs do not produce the three TRFs basically, and not all TRFs are equally abundant. tRNA fragments detected in diverse species from archaebacteria, human, plants. Multiple role of tRNA fragments in different organisms. Like in human, both dice are dependent and independent pathways known for tRNA generation. Exact mechanism of tRNA generation is not elucidated in plants. So we are identifying the mechanism of TRF generation, overexpression of TRF sorry, during oxidative stress and the phosphate deficit conditions. Overexpression of different abiotic and biotic stress conditions. and the dicer dependent and dicer independent pathways for generation of tRNA fragments. So we developed this method basically for TRF generation. We took the more than thousands of small RNA sequencing data of 10 different plant species, and then we did the blast, assignment of different type of tRNA and fragments, and then identification. And we developed this database, TRF, PTRF-TB. So you just go to the link or you just Google it, PTRF-TB, plant transfer RNA derived fragments, you will find out database. And we publish this into the paper. And not only the plant TRF, but tRNA database also available at this link, basically ptRNA-DB. If you Google it, then you will find virus-derived small RNAs. So this is another novel molecule we are identifying in plants. So imagine if a virus attack on this plant, then from the viral genome with the help of proteins, this will give the viral-derived siRNA fragments, and these VSRNA itself, and like inhibit the viral activity. So that's a beautiful thing, like these VSRNAs are doing, and identification of VSRNAs, and different strategies, different data sets, different tools we discuss in a another review article that is also published. Let me give you that link of that and another review article that is like a wonderful article written by Vivek and Shafak. That will be also useful. How like we are identifying the novel RNAs here, the viral derived small RNAs in the plants. Let me give you. So did you get my link? Did you get the link in the chat? Okay. So we developed this PVSRN database in our here at NIPGR. You can see this link, and this is the review article that we wrote that I was talking by Vivek and Shafak, and so I already give you the link of this article, and we also discovered therapeutic peptides in plants. So these plants have different activities like anti-cancer activity, antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial. We compile the data, we curate the data. So we developed this plant PepDB, peptide database. So anyways, so that's the story of, how with the help of next generation sequencing, you can, identify the novel RNAs, novel genes, novel pathways. That's the like end of my talk. And I acknowledge my PhD advisor, Professor GPS Raghava, and then Professor Hui Lee at the University of Virginia, and my lab members at Lab 202 of NIPGR. And this is for your kind patience. Thank you for your attention. And this is my email ID. If you want to ask something or if you want to discuss something, then you can always email me at challenge@nipgr.ac.in. Okay. So that's all from my side. Thank you. Hello, I am done.
Yeah, sir. Sir?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
sir. 1 second. Yeah, sir. So, like participants, you can post your queries either in the chat box or else you can unmute yourself and you can ask.
So before that, I shared one workshop link with all of you. So you can just explore this workshop by my colleagues, basically. My several different colleagues are also like giving training in the workshop. So you can explore the link also here. I put in your chat box. So about this
Okay, sir.
presentation, yeah, please ask the questions about this presentation if you have.
Thank you, sir. Participants are requested to ask their questions, or you can post your queries in the chat box. Participants are requested to raise the questions, or you can post the questions in the chat box. I'll repeat it again. Participants who has questions can kindly post in the chat box, or you can unmute the audio and you can raise the questions.
So you can also contact Shailesh sir to his mail ID. Sir, could you please share your mail ID too? Shailesh sir.
Yes, I am giving writing in the chat.
Yeah. So sir's mail ID is getting flashed at the chat box. So any sort of queries or any links with sir, like so Gayatri, you're presenting there. So Gayatri. So Gayatri, who is Gayatri there? Kindly. Madam Gayatri, you can stop presenting. Yeah, Gayatri, you need to ask some question. Gayatri, you can stop presenting there. Yeah, like Shakti, you can, yeah, you can take the session.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your informative, and though you have shared a lot of knowledge with us. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. G. Shakti, Assistant Professor, Department of Biochemistry, to give the oath of thanks. I welcome you, ma'am. Good morning to everyone. It's my great honor and privilege to propose the oath of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to Almighty God for making today's occasion a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our special guest, Dr. Sailesh Kumar, Scientist, DBT Institute of Sailesh Kumar, Scientist, DBT National Institute of Plant Genome and Research, New Delhi, who despite of his busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion, and also express my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Dhanabalan, DBT Coordinator, Ratnaveli Subramaniam College of Arts and Science. We are grateful to thank our trustee, principal, and vice principal for their encouragement and instant support for this FDP. My heartfelt thanks to the heads of various departments and our own department and the faculty members for their valuable contribution and guidance for this program. Finally, I leave you this inspiring quote by Martin Luther King: "An individual has not started living until he rises above the confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity." Once again, thank you all for for spending your valuable time with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakti.
Thank you, Shakti ma'am.
Yeah, Kaveri.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you all
So,
of you.
Kaveri, 1 minute.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, yeah. So participants, like Shailesh sir, we got many feedbacks, like positive feedbacks. It was an informative session, excellent presentation, nice presentation, and informative by Shivalango sir from Vaishya College. So thank you all. Nitya Devi ma'am has said nice presentation, sir. And Sandhya ma'am has said nice presentation, sir. Kausalya ma'am has said very informative and useful session. So participants all over India has been given a lot of feedbacks regarding your session, sir. Thank you so much on behalf of RVS and management. We thank you for joining with us for this session.
Thank you.
So thank you, Shailesh, sir. So once again, I remind the participants to stay back with us by 2 o'clock again. You can rejoin. We'll be posting the link in the WhatsApp group as well as in the other groups. So you can join us by 2 p.m. Before you leave, we see to that you are completing the feedback link that has been posted in the chat box. Over to
So
you, Kaveri.
participants are requested to fill their feedback form before leaving the session. The afternoon session of FTP 7 days program will be started by 2 o'clock. So I'll repeat again. The afternoon session of FTP 7-day program in prospects and retrospects in life sciences will be started by 2 o'clock. Thank you for all the participants who joined.